start off, Schaefer, thank you so much for joining us today. I
Well,
appreciate you sitting down with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So to start off, what are the major focuses of your campaign?
Well, I mean, this country's in a position right now that frankly we haven't seen in generations. We've got a terrible economy. We've got 400% increase in home prices. We've got people who can't afford groceries. And then to add to that, we've got an open southern border. We've got illegal drugs like fentanyl coming out of China, pouring across that border and causing problems for law enforcement and communities all over the state of Missouri as well as the rest of the country. And those things have to be fixed, and they need to be fixed by Congress.
And how will your background as an attorney and state prosecutor help you succeed if elected?
Well, you know, an interesting thing, obviously, I'm a former prosecutor, did mostly murder cases when I was at the Attorney General's office. And those are hard cases, and you got to do the right things for people, and you got to know how to get things done and get victories. And so, for example, when I was in the Missouri Senate, you know, representing the 19th Senate District, I conducted several investigations, which is something that really no one had done for decades before that, and they haven't done since. But using the power of the Senate to subpoena witnesses and bring people in and do investigations. So finding out things like, for example, that the state was giving concealed carry information to the federal government to find out who gun owners were. I led that investigation. We found out what was happening there. We stopped it. And, you know, those are important things that you have to have the skills to be able to get those things done. And that's what I take to Congress, and that's why I think I will be effective in solving some of the issues that this country is facing right now.
And can you touch on your connections personally to District 3?
I live in District 3. I actually have a main opponent who doesn't live in the district, which I think, you know, people find that surprising. But the U.S. Constitution doesn't require residency. A lot of states actually have tried to pass state laws that say, well, in our state, you have to live in a district that you supposedly represent. And the federal courts throw those out, and they say, well, that's not a requirement in the Constitution. But I think it's difficult to ask people to vote for you when you can't vote for yourself.
So in a post on your campaign Facebook page, you tout that you are endorsed by current U.S. Rep for District 3, Blaine Luetkemeyer. What does that endorsement mean to you?
Oh, it means the world to me. Blaine is a great guy. You know, Blaine got elected to Congress in 2008, which is the same year that I got elected to the Missouri Senate. I've known him for a very long time. He's a man of great integrity. And, you know, the interesting thing, and I've spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and talking to people around the 3rd Congressional District here in Missouri, you know, he has a tremendous staff. He does a great job with constituent services. He's done a fantastic job for the university in getting some issues resolved for the university and helping keeping the university going from the federal perspective. And so it means a lot to me. He's highly respected in the 3rd Congressional District. He's done a great job, and I hope to fill those shoes.
And so he's currently in the position. If elected, is there anything different that you see yourself doing or being on your agenda?
Well, you know, obviously, you know, Blaine's very conservative, so am I. I would say one difference is, you know, the nature of Congress has changed. And I'm not afraid to throw elbows. It's something that goes back to my days as a prosecutor. It's what you have to do to be successful sometimes. And, you know, I'm prepared to do that, and I would say that's a skill that may be a little bit different that I bring to the table.
And then what are your thoughts on the current political atmosphere and the rhetoric surrounding that?
Yeah, I mean, this is an extremely difficult political environment all the way around. You know, for example, my main opponent, you know, he runs ads, he's going to vote no on everything. But like here in the state of Missouri, he voted no on giving benefits to injured law enforcement officers. He voted no to require divestment of foreign ownership of farmland here in Missouri by countries like China and other hostile countries. You know, you can't just vote no. Getting things done is really, really hard work. And I'm really proud of my record in the Senate, especially the 6 years that I was chairman of the Appropriations Committee and was able to do things like help the university, help out citizens here in the 19th Congressional District, as well as statewide in getting things done. But to do that, it takes a lot of time. You have to read a lot. You got to spend a lot of hours. If you just want to vote no and be a fly in the ointment, which is kind of a popular position right now, unfortunately, by some people in politics, that only takes you 5 minutes. And then you run outside and you take a selfie of yourself and you talk about how great you are because you killed something. Well, that didn't solve anybody's problem. And if you want to solve people's problems, you have to work hard. It is hard work. I know that hard work. I've done it, and I'm prepared to do it for the 3rd Congressional District when I go to Congress.
So do you believe there should be a change in the current political rhetoric between just candidates in general? How do you plan to work with all other lawmakers to make those changes?
Well, I mean, that's a really good point, because the other thing, too, is, you know, you have to have your principles and you have to have a moral compass, but you also have to have relationships. And one thing that I know from working in the Missouri Senate, you know, you don't agree with everybody all the time, but Your relationships are what make you successful or not. And I know that I had a lot of relationships. My relationships with people in the Missouri Senate helped me get things done. And sometimes you do have to throw elbows. You got to be a little persuasive. But people in that process understand that. What you can't do is be alienating, disliked by everyone. You're not going to get anything done.
And then after the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump's life over the weekend, have you considered making any personal changes to your public appearances?
No. I mean, obviously, we're very fortunate that President Trump, came through that process and it wasn't worse. I think, though, that a lot of the heated rhetoric that we're hearing from candidates right now adds to that. I know that in my race, I'm talking about the issues because I feel so strongly there's such a bright line difference between me and my main opponent that I think talking about the issues and the ability to get stuff done is all we really need to talk about because I think that's what makes the difference and shows why I should get the job. So, I think maybe in some races, people's rhetoric was a little more heated, but no, it's not changing anything I'm doing.
And is there anything else you would like voters to know?
Well, I think that to be successful, you have to know how to get the job done. It's something I did for 8 years here for the community, for Mid-Missouri, when I was in the Senate, and I look forward to taking those skills to Congress.
Kurt, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me on. Yep.
Of course.